Portland, Oregon. For weeks, police officers on the streets of Portland have tried to subdue a persistent group of protesters by shooting tear gas canisters and making arrests, each by the dozens. This week, Portland's law enforcement leaders have a new worry on the streets: their federal counterparts. Purportedly in town to help tamp down the unrest, the federal officers in camouflage and tactical gear have so far instead served to escalate tensions, rejuvenating a protest crowd that has been demanding a substantial overhaul to policing and an end to militarized tactics. Since their arrival, federal officers have shot one protester in the head with an apparent impact munition, leaving the man with severe head injuries and producing the image of blood dripping on Portland's streets. The officers have driven those streets in unmarked vans, at times seizing protesters, according to videos and interviews. One of the people detained, Mark Pettibone, said in an interview that an unmarked vehicle stopped right in front of him around 2 a.m. on Wednesday and 4 people in camouflage jumped out. Given the lack of markings or identification, he had no idea who they were. One of the officers said, it's okay," and just grabbed me and threw me into the van. Another officer pulled my beanie down, so I couldn't see, Mr. Pettibone said. Mr. Pettibone said he was terrified and that at no point was he told why he was arrested or detained, or what agency the officers were with. He said he was ultimately held for about 2 hours before being released. On Thursday night and into Friday morning, the 50th straight day of demonstrations, a line of federal officers in gas masks walked down Portland's 3rd Avenue. They filled downtown corridors with tear gas, which a federal judge has barred the Portland police from using except in the case of a safety risk, and they also shot less lethal munitions, which left people limping in pain. The aggressive federal posture has complicated the mission of the Department of Homeland Security, an agency that has spent much of its history focused on foreign terrorism threats and is supposed to build collaborative relationships with local law enforcement partners. And it raises questions of whether it is appropriate for federal authorities to take up the policing of an American city against the wishes of local leaders. Mayor Ted Wheeler of Portland, who is also police commissioner, said the federal response was irresponsible, and asked for those deployed to stay inside federal buildings or leave the city. The Multnomah County Sheriff, Mike Reese, called the federal response a significant setback in efforts to calm tensions. Governor Kate Brown of Oregon called it a blatant abuse of power by the federal government. But federal officials, starting with President Trump, have continued to stake a claim to the city's law and order.